So thank you for tuning in and for investing your time in following our conversation today. I'm Marianne van Zyl from Switch On to Life, and today I'm chatting with Ross Van Niekerk. So let me introduce you. Ross Van Niekerk, he's a pastor, he's a leader, he's a husband, he's a father, he's a friend. And yeah, I just want to honor him for the leader and the friend he is, and for the inspiration about life and relationships that he brings in my life, but also the people that he is around. So yeah, I invited him to speak around the topic of relentless living, and so that's what our conversation is about today. So welcome.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of your practice.
Thanks. So if we can start around the topic of relentless, what would you say? How would you define living relentlessly?
For me, living relentlessly means living passionately. So it means living from your heart, living from the core of your being, and also living with endurance. Life is never the same. We have ups and downs in every aspect of life. So for me, it means living enduringly, living to not give up, to not give in, and to not sway away. But what I like about the relentlessly, it speaks to me about the passion of the ocean waves that just does not stop, the unceasing movement in the same direction. So living relentlessly for me means living enduringly, passionately, intentionally in the same direction. And intentionally, relentlessly is the same thing for me. I'm going in a direction from the conviction of my heart. So that's what it means for me.
Yeah, so I just want to, I'm so excited for the wisdom and the insights that you can share with us, and for anybody that feels the need to be encouraged or inspired and motivated in order for them to switch on to their life and living the ideal life that they are created to have. So thanks for that metaphor, that picture of a wave is just so powerful. And so tell us a little bit about your story in getting to living life relentlessly.
As you heard, I'm a pastor. I think there are a few examples in our lives that really inspire us. People that you want to follow after, that you want to run after. You see something about their intentionality or their passion or direction, their pursuit in life, and you want to follow after. So I've had a few people in my life that really inspired me, that I thought, wow, I want to follow after you. But I think if there's one person, and it's really something true for me, one person that I really want to follow after is the way in which Paul the missionary followed Jesus.
Sure.
You know, just his pursuit or his call in life. He had a massive encounter with God, and you know, places in the Bible where he speaks about, for me to live is Christ, to die is gain. Places in the Bible where he speaks about, you know, about the floggings and the beatings, the shipwreck, twice stoned. You know, places that he records the calamities in his life.
Sure.
And then he would write, and these light afflictions, in Corinthians, these light afflictions does not compare to the glory. You know, and that's what the author of Hebrew as well says. He says that we should follow in the likeness of Christ, who really, you know, suffered pain and suffering, but he kept his eye on the prize, the reward. So part of my story of growing in intentional living, or passionate living, enduring living, relentless life, to really not give up, is really that example that Paul says he saw in Jesus, that I see in Jesus, but to really pursue that. So a few moments in my life I had encounters with the Lord that I really just felt I had a meeting, a significant meeting, God moments, and sometimes, you know, it comes in a conversation with the person, it comes in listening to something, reading, or just reflecting in prayer. And I'd have these moments, and I would take note of these moments. Behind you is a wall of a few significant images that I carry in my heart, that I put up there as a daily reminder of what the Lord says I'm going to do, or where I'm going to in my life. where something he says about me as a person, this is who I am, or that's what I am going to do.
Yeah.
So for me, that's what Paul says. He says, none of these things matter. It doesn't compare to the glory which is coming.
Sure.
So passionate living is hopeful living, relentless living.
So what is interesting for me is that, you know, how Paul had this hope before him, and that caused him to be able to continue.
Yeah.
Like you say, you know, like a
Yeah.
wave, intentionally knowing that even though it's difficult now, that there is a place I'm heading towards, so that helps one to align to an intent.
Yes.
Of this is why. There's a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
you know. Like I love that metaphor where waves don't stop.
Mm.
And you know, whether the winds are strong or whether it's slow, or you know, it just never stops. So I love that. I love that unceasing hope.
Mm. And the high tide, low tide, the waves don't stop.
Yes.
You know, energy or success or fullness of life might feel different at times, but the waves never stop. Yeah, I love that image.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I came about to really to live focused, in a sense, intentional.
Yeah.
A relentless pursuit of that which I feel God has said about me, or that which I must accomplish. A sense of duty.
Sure.
I spent quite a number of formative years in the Air Force, more than 10 years in the Air Force, and so something about duty and discipline was like drilled into me, literally drilled into me. And you know, just where you do what you need to do because it's the right thing to do, but not an aimless right thing to do, because you know this is the person that it shapes me to become. And through those 10 years, I think it really had an impact on me to understand that nothing in life comes easily, but the reward is really worth the effort. There is something about sowing and reaping, something about if I pursue this and endure in this direction, there really is. So those years were really formative in every aspect of my life. You know, duty, discipline, and devotion. Those are the keys to endurance, to being relentless, I think. Is if you keep your love in the same direction, if you keep your disciplines, your activities in the same direction, and a sense of duty, a sense of this is what I ought to do.
Wow.
It really is a key.
So it's a love, it's a discipline, it's a duty.
Duty, devotion, discipline,
knowing where you're going. Okay, devotion, duty, discipline. Wow. Yes. Okay,
sorry. So these images, literally images or words, that I just intentionally every single day just reflect about, write them on the wall. It gives direction to, and what I like about it, it's not just what I'm doing. I understand that I'm becoming someone that has a certain influence in life, and that God really called me to be someone, to become someone. I know that's a passion for you as well.
Yes.
Not just to act, to produce stuff, but to become a specific type of person that does that for me. Yeah. Cool.
You mentioned a few things that shaped you. You mentioned specifically the Air Force that shaped you with regards to discipline and duty. With regards to the devotion, what do you feel have shaped you in those areas?
Strongest influence in my loves, the things, the shaping of my heart, is the community of people. People, community. Communities shape. I love what others love. I desire according to the other. James Ellison wrote a book about that, to desire according to the other. We always speak about it in a negative sense, the covetousness, to not love what other, not to fall in love with someone else's wife or someone else's, not to desire someone else's job or life.
Yes.
And the reason is because we are prone to do that.
Yeah.
We are prone to love what others love. So, just using that in a good sense, to position myself intentionally with people who love what I admire.
Sure.
I want to love what you love, because you are directed by your passions in your heart. Everything. So that's why I said relentless also means to live from the heart.
Yes.
Enduring courageously, to live from the center of my being. I'm pulled in by my affections, and that shapes my activities.
Yeah.
So to position yourself with people that you love what they love.
Sure.
So obviously what you love is shown in the things that you do, the things that you desire, dream about, talk about.
Yeah.
So I position myself with people that really love to serve others and that really love to give back, to really love to serve God in a practical sense. So that's, I position myself with people like that. And sometimes it's difficult to not, we recently went on holiday and in the Gemsbok Park, Kalahari Gemsbok Park, and we met people there and they were so attractive. We were a big group of friends that went up with our families. And this couple was so attracted to us from the first moment. So they eventually just spent a few days with us as well camping, but they were with us. And they just said they live in a far off place in the Eastern Cape on a farm, so their community options are really small.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about what you're doing here, about your podcast, about the material that you position, because you can be influenced by someone that you can't necessarily have coffee with every day. But just because I spend time and I receive and I listen to you, your loves rub off on me. Your devotion to something. And even the practices. I will eventually become like you. The more I spend time with you, I will become like you.
Sure, so what I'm hearing, the devotion thing, is how you grow in the desires or the passion that you have in your heart that connects with that sense of duty almost.
Yes, absolutely.
That devotions is that the more you spend or spend time around people that has the same kind or flavor of devotions, the more you see how to develop it, the more it shapes within your own understanding of what it is about serving others or what it is about helping others. Because I heard you mention those two things as the devotion of your heart. If I'm correct.
Yeah.
That where the serving and the helping of others, the more you're spending time with others doing that as well, you gain insight in how somebody else is doing that, and just from knowing that, I can imagine that is a very almost taking the information and taking away the things that doesn't work, but keeping what does work. I get that is how you're quite efficient in that way. I can see how your mind is working like that. And I can imagine that really makes you become almost like an expert in that area. That's a good way of learning and growing in a certain area, is to see how does other people do it, what's working from that for you, what you want to take for yourself and learn from that, to execute it in a different way. So I really, that's cool. It's interesting way of thinking about it.
There's something I haven't mentioned when it comes to living relentlessly.
Yes.
I think for me, key in my life, I had a few moments I mentioned earlier where I had real God moments in my life, real moments of affirmation and approval from God, specifically acceptance. Because sometimes I, as a pastor and as a friend, I see people and I talk to people who are constantly in a sense of seeking something to validate, to secure, to approve. There's a constant seeking and a longing because there's a sense of emptiness. And I think every human being is born like that. But for me, living relentlessly and passionately lives from an overflow. It's not a striving to be accepted or to find an applause or approval by someone. It's
like the ocean doesn't need an approval; it just keeps on going.
It's going to do that. It doesn't need the land. In a sense, it just spills over of its fullness. And for me, that's something important. It's the concept of living from an overflow of acceptance. Finding wholeness in heart. The more whole heart, the more passionately the more relentlessly I can live from the heart.
So, if I may, what would you say? You mentioned like the moments that you had with God, that you really felt that He's speaking to you with regards to your acceptance and purpose. So, if you want to, if to share, how did that help you heal, find acceptance in order for you to now be at a place where you're be able to be in a place of overflow? What made you top up, if I can say it almost?
Yeah, it's
top up that whole that need of like the human being, as you say, we are all in need of acceptance and wanting that affirmation. Tell a little bit about how did that come about for you?
not necessarily that was the key reason. We lost our dad at a young age, 3 boys. My mom is a saint.
Sure.
We lost our dad at a young age.
Yes.
He passed away unexpectedly. I was really young, like 6 years old.
Sure.
And I think that's where we all took a bit of a knock, obviously, understandably. Mom remarried many years later with a great man.
Yeah.
But somehow those gap years had a deep impact on me, just in terms of, am I good enough?
Yeah.
Do I have approval? Does someone love? Am I going to make it? You know, do I have what it takes? You know, the man question. So so I lived with that in a sense, and at church a few times we had encounters where we spoke and prayed about. But I think for me, the thing that really helped me was I just decided that I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be uncertain anymore. I don't want to. It's not a good way to live. No one likes living like that. So I don't know if it was just the grace of God, but I just intentionally pursued the face of God in prayer, in books, in music. I remember the evening it sort of culminated. It was a stormy evening in Kerboomstrand, literally storming outside.
Sure.
I was just going at it with God. It was an issue in my life, and I was just said, I'm tired of this. And it was in a sense, it was a relentless pursuit of God for that one thing.
Wow.
That sort of, I'm not going to go. Like Jacob, I wrestled until I had a heart change.
Sure.
Just a sense of, and it was no flashing lights.